Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Damn, set. Watch him throw the ball. Man. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back. There I go again. Woo. That's very unprofessional. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die Podcast. I am your host, Molly Mo, Jamal Forrest, and here with AJ. Dre is on the way. Don't mind me. I took a shot literally right before the intro ended, and I feel all that alcohol as soon as I'm talking, man. AJ, what's going on with you, player? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Right,
Everything's good, man. But that's good. I'm glad you're healthy. Michael Felder, of Bleacher report is. Wait, hold on now. He got all right. I'm looking at Michael Felder of Bleacher report. I'm looking at his handle in the Bleachers as well. That was confusing me for a second. But Michael Felder is going to be joining us, college football analyst, and he has his own Substack as well. It's Felder.substack.com. He's going to be joining us to check in for a second, man. He got a couple of people that he used to watch in college over the last few years that are on the Washington Commanders. So I guess it's time to see what Mike was talking about and how he feels about this Commanders draft. I don't know, man. I think, you know what's interesting since this whole thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Administrative items. Kevin, I see you. Jay Tyler, I see y'all in the chat. If you are just checking in for the first time, man, and you're like, I like the show, or you want to show your support, you're looking for a Commanders podcast, hit that like button, or NFL podcast, all 32 is on Thursdays. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate that. Audio side, same thing. If you're new, you like the content, make sure you hit that follow button, give us a rating and review. Takes 2 seconds to show your support that way, man, and it's free to do so. So we definitely appreciate that. Film sessions. We have went through Brandon Coleman, the tackle. He is on the channel. If you haven't checked that out, go ahead and do so. Luke McCaffrey, he is on the channel. If you haven't taken a look at that, go ahead and do so. Both film sessions are out now. Ben Sinnott will be coming out shortly, sometime this week. What's today? Tuesday. So let's say Thursday, maybe Thursday. He'll be coming out as well. So go ahead and take a look at that when you all get a chance. But yeah, those are the administrative items. I was transitioning to some draft talk, AJ, but the main thing that's at the top of my head that I can see immediately is this conversation with the jersey number. I didn't understand how serious of a topic that was, at least on social media. Not that I really cared too much, but I seen literally like people source information related to a jersey number. I've seen people talk about moving Tressway's number down to his old college number, which is like 36 or something. I've seen people just defend Tressway like this is some huge scandal or issue, like saying if you really don't value Tressway because he's a punter, like not verbatim, that's not what they said, but just in defense of, I don't understand how this became like anything of significance. Just talking about a jersey number here.
I mean, I think a lot of people in the fan base that are having those conversations on these platforms are just bored. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what jersey number is being worn. It's all about winning those games and being productive week in and week out and getting the best that you can out of the player. And to be honest with you, I mean, I text y'all privately this morning that it's probably not even from what I've heard from a very credible source, it may not even be the number 5. So at the end of the day, it's just wasted conversation. If it happens, it happens. You feel me? But you should probably know definitively by tomorrow what number that's going to be, just going into the rookie camp, as that will be Friday. But yeah, I just think some people in the fan base just bored, because there's no way in hell I'm about to waste my time going back and forth with someone, or even thinking of the process of what jersey number Jaden Daniels or any of these players wear. Like, Jaden Daniels could wear the number 69. I wouldn't give two damns. As long as he's productive on the field.
That's a freaky ass nigga.
Hey, let him get freaky on the field. Like,
hey, bro.
At the end of the day, I don't care about none of that stuff. It's just more so about wins and losses.
He's a fan.
And how he's productive. But, it is what it is.
Hey, what's going on with you, Dre? How you feeling, dog?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here. But no, I mean, as far as the jersey number conversation, I think some fans just get a little bit too emotional about this stuff, especially the ones you see acting like it's so wrong that, people want to give Jaden Daniels Tressway's number because of his tenure. Now, look, at the end of the day, it's up to Tressway whether he wants to give his jersey number up or not. I mean, as AJ said, it's really not that big of a deal in terms of how these two were discussing it. Maybe Jaden Daniels picks number 5, maybe he doesn't. But, I mean, if Jaden Daniels wants the number and Tressway's fine with giving it up, who cares? You know what I mean? You move on. This is two grown men making a decision. Or it can go the other way. I mean, we talked about this with Cam Newton. When Cam Newton said he got to Carolina, Jimmy Clausen was there. Jimmy Clausen had the number 2, which was what Cam wore to Auburn. And Jimmy Clausen wanted a ridiculous amount of money. And Cam Newton said, well, forget it. I'll wear number 1 and I'll make sure no one ever hears the name Jimmy Clausen again in this league. And that's how that came about. So, I mean, Tressway can keep the number. Cool. Jaden Daniels can go to another number. Or they'll settle it like two grown men and he'll get his jersey number. At the end of the day, I just, for me, I do want to buy the jersey. So I'm just waiting on the number. I don't care what it is, but I don't want it to be 69, AJ, because if it's 69, we're going to have to change his names from Daniels to Pauls. His name will be Paul on the back of the damn jersey.
Hey, man, if that boy wears 69, you still gonna cop that jersey. So
I'm not copping
that went out the window. Jersey. Yeah, that went out the window with 69, bro. Hey, so look though, it was a couple quarterback conversations at the top of my head that I wanted to tap into. Michael is scheduled to join us shortly, so let's get the lighter conversation out of the way while we wait on Michael. But Mark Tyler of Hogs Haven, one of our dear friends here on Trap or Die podcast, and one of my fellow co-writers with Hogs Haven, he gave a prediction on quarterback stats for the 2024 season. It's May, so it's not too early, but I guess it is kind of too early given that we are not. It don't matter. He gave his stats out. So I'm going to do an over and under for us, right? You can elaborate if you want to, but I'm going to give the stats that he gave, and I'm going to say over, under, or even just about right. That can be your third option. Everybody in the chat, if y'all want to tag along, give y'all explanation, let us know. If you think Mark is out of his goddamn mind, you tell us too, and we're going to relay the message. All right, here we go. So he has Jaden Daniels with 16 starts, right? I guess we can start there. Over or under 16 starts?
Why he think he gonna miss a game? That's so weird. I know.
I don't think he didn't give an extra. He does have he does have the number for Marcus Mariota in there, but it's no explanations. He just went straight to the stats. So I guess that'll kind of be that. But yeah, over under 16 starts.
I'm gonna say over.
I'm gonna say even. I think
even?
16 sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with over. I think he hits the 17 marker. Passing yards, he has it at 3,075. Over or under, or just about right.
3,700 or 3,075 passing.
3,075.
Hey man, just pick over for everything minus the interceptions with this conversation.
This is going to be.
I really did not see this tweet or whatever because I would have.
This is going to be hilarious, and I can't wait to finish this. All right, so over for 3,075 yards. AJ got over. Where you at, Dre?
I got over by a lot, actually. I mean, I think he could probably hit at least. I mean, well, I'm not going to say at least. I'll say the ceiling and where I'm at with him, he's about 3,800 yards for me.
Okay, so I'm definitely going over. I think he crushing that probably like 34, 35. So that's a few hundred yards. I think he's going to be well over. And then on top of that, the completion percentage doesn't really make sense to me as it aligns with that number. So as we continue, passing touchdowns 17. I know AJ says over. I see your face already. I'm with you. I'm on the over train. Give me over 17 tutties, passing touchdowns. Where you at, Dre?
I'm at over. I'm going around 21 touchdowns for him this year, passing.
Around 21. Okay. Seven interceptions. Where we at? Over, under?
Even for me.
Under.
Even? Okay. Even for Dre. AJ?
Under.
Ooh. Okay.
I mean, I expect him to protect the ball. Like, with the anticipation of this offense and what Cliff Kingsbury is going to be running, it's a lot of simple reads for the quarterback. So he's going to have to make some really bonehead passes for it to be over 7. I mean, of course, like you can have tip passes at the line of scrimmage or wide receivers, but I mean, if we just talk it strictly from his passing skill set, I can't really see him being Sam Howell.
Well, look, no, I got it at even here, and let me just elaborate a bit because I mean, looking at guys like C.J. Stroud, and I even went back to kind of look at RG3's rookie year. I mean, those are the best of the best when you're talking about quarterback rookie years, and those guys were right at that 5 interception mark. So, I mean, Jaden Daniels, I said to even on 7 because I think that's a fair and realistic expectation. And it's also not too many interceptions, but if you're going down to the 5 mark, I'm starting to look at him as having one of those best rookie seasons ever, which I don't want to put that expectation on him yet.
All right, so I'm gonna say even. I think 7 is a solid number. I think that's a healthy number for a rookie. Anything over like pushing that 9+ range is like, all right, what you doing, brother? All right, 65% completion is where Mark Tyler had him. 65. I'll go first. Just because like that's just kind of like a random like shot in the dark. I'm gonna just say even. I don't really have no over or under for this one. I'm gonna say neutral, but I'll say around even.
I'm gonna go under with this one.
Under.
Like I said, everything over for me besides the interceptions.
Okay. All right. So here we go. The rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. Those are the last 2, and we get into our guest. Rushing yards is at 870.
Definitely over.
Definitely. Why you say it's so definitive with the rushing yards?
This is the best.
Like,
AJ, like you got him at the best rookie season ever.
I mean, I just don't see him rushing for 870. Especially, I don't know how strong of a run game they're going to have with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. I think in the passing game that he's going to have to create a lot. So I expect him to at least eclipse 870.
Okay.
I'm going my exact numbers, so I guess mine would be 600 yards rushing, and I got him at 5 rushing touchdowns.
What was the rushing touchdown number?
5. Oh,
for you.
Mark's?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go. Nah, his number is different. I'm gonna go under on the rushing yards. He said 870. I can see around 700, 600, something like that. Rushing touchdowns is the last one. He had it at 11. So Dre, you said 5. So we're gonna go under for you. Under 11 rushing touchdowns. AJ, I see you thinking a little bit. So this is around your number. This got to be around your number.
I'm gonna say over still.
All right, bet over 11.
Shit don't matter. Just like a Mel Kiper mock draft. This shit don't matter.
It's all for fun and game. Okay, cool. Yeah, I ain't even about to worry about Marcus Mariota and those numbers. 11 rushing touchdowns. I'm gonna say he goes over. Probably gets him about 12, 13. Just slightly over that number. But I see y'all in the chat. I see some check what I'm playing about Mark. Hey man, look, only we can call Mark that. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into our guest. Michael Felder, like I said, a Bleacher Report. Obviously, he has a Substack, as I mentioned as well. It's felder.substack.com. Looking forward to this conversation. Let's go ahead and get Mike. And what's going on with you, player? How you feeling?
Man, I feel good. Y'all talking wild, dog.
Look, I can only do
Which
so
one?
much.
Who's
Yeah,
talking about?
I know it's the numbers he was talking about. Them numbers a little
I think
crazy,
I was pretty fair. I was pretty fair, I think.
The numbers are like, I don't want my rookie quarterback running for 800 yards. I don't like, because Jaden Daniels, he's not Mike Vick, dog. Like he's not Mike Vick. Like I don't want him doing that. And have you seen the compilation videos of him getting hit?
Yeah, but I mean, you don't want him running for that many yards. You're correct, right?
Right.
But we also have seen Cliff Kingsbury offense in Arizona with Kyler Murray, where he's had to maneuver outside the pocket a lot of times and improvise. And I don't see Jaden necessarily sitting back there waiting to throw upfield. I see him trying to take off until he probably get his ass hit a couple times.
I think he's going to – I think with respect to Jaden Daniels, the biggest thing for me is – and the thing I really love about him is he played for an NFL coach, right?
Yeah.
His first 2 years of college were with an NFL coach. And then Herm Edwards, yes. His next 2 years were with Brian Kelly, and he's the only quarterback that's played for Brian Kelly that had a better second year than their first year. So
and all of Brian Kelly's collegiate career as a head coach?
Yeah. Like with the exception of the kid from Central Michigan, Dan Lefebvre.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
With the exception of Dan Lefebvre, all the guys at Notre Dame, they were worse than they got worse after. You think about it, same at Notre Dame. You think about Brandon Wimbush, right? You think about Deshaun Kaiser. You think about those guys. They were calling for the backup immediately in their second year of being the starter. Wimbush transferred obviously to UCF. Kaiser went immediately to the NFL. Tommy Rees turned into a backup because he had Evan Golson. Like there's a track record of the second year for his quarterbacks doesn't go well. And Jaden Daniels was like, no, I'm still very good and I will win the Heisman.
I think one of the parts of that we've been talking about, even throughout the whole, well, some of us, because everybody wasn't, even the stats that I read off of, he's not a Jaden guy. He's like a Drake May guy. And I think those numbers, those rushing numbers kind of are inflated because he believes that he's like a run first quarterback.
He's not.
So that's where I was getting at. Like, I think that that's kind of where those numbers come from because they believe in he's like this elite football player with his legs. They overlook what he does as a passer. And I think one of the things in which you see or what you noticed, because I didn't even think about just prior Brian Kelly quarterbacks. You think about him improving as a passer, like that was one of the more dramatic improvements that you could see out of a Jaden Daniels. And it sounds like for you, when you've been able to watch him over the past few years, that's probably something that clearly stood out to you in terms of how he processes, but also how he developed in his processing.
Right. Let me ask you this. What's the last LSU running back to get drafted?
Oh, good Lord.
The
first one comes to mind is Darius Geis.
Probably Clyde. Clyde
Clyde Edwards, first round.
Yes, yeah.
Was Jaden there?
No, definitely wasn't. That was Burrow. Burrow was back there.
Yeah,
that was also an Ed Orgeron team, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The problem for them has not been what's happening. I know Noah Kane also got picked later, but this is a different type of team. And it's a team where they still haven't built their identity. And so they had to lean on Jaden Daniels. There's a reason that this is a guy that had, what do you have, 1,300 yards? 1,100 yards, excuse me.
Yeah,
1,100 yards in 2023. They had to lean on him, which I understand. But it's because the the cupboard was a little bit empty. And so there's no one that scares you more than him. And so if you have to run, you have to run. And if you can't get open yet, like if a team doubles down on Neighbors, what are we going to do? We got to make something happen, and I'm going to go find yards. But I hate the way that he takes hits. I hate the way that Jaden Daniels takes hits. I can't.
Well, would you say the volume of those hits were a lot? I mean, the hits were bad. We do see the highlight reels of those hits, but I don't think that there was a high volume of those hits. They're just kind of heightened because of what we've seen and how they took, how he took those hits. But I don't think he takes those hits a lot for the amount of runs that he takes off with.
Totally agree. I 100% agree with that. And I think that it's the bad hit in the Mississippi State game.
Yeah.
And in the, Alabama game.
The FSU game.
Florida State game. And you're like, it's like one a game. It's like one a game. And he can handle it. And guess what? He always gets back up. And that's the thing for me that I really respect about Jaden Daniels is he always gets back up. So, he's kind of like Dwayne Wade, if I was going to put it into like other terms.
Yeah.
Like he's like Dwayne Wade. Like you might get me one time, but guess what? I'm going to bust your ass the rest of the time. And that's what he does. And that's what he's done. And that's why this guy has a Heisman Trophy.
So how do you go into the season as, the quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator, head coach? How do you go into the season preparing him to realize that you can't survive taking these hits at this high volume number or whatever? I think I even heard a conversation where I think CJ Stroud said when he was entering the league and he was working out with Justin Herbert, Justin Herbert told him specifically, be mindful of the hits that you take in this league because our bodies aren't meant to absorb that type of contact. How do you keep Jaden Daniels keeping his elite talent of being a runner and an improviser in the league on the next level without possibly getting hit? I think someone that does a great job of still maneuvering and not getting hit is Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
How do you coach him to get out of that ideal of playing kind of superhero ball in the sense when it comes to running in between tackles and not necessarily stepping out of bounds and getting those extra yards?
So I think that these guys, if we're looking at a spectrum, and the spectrum is Dan Marino and Michael Vick, and I think Lamar Jackson is closer to Vick. I think Jaden Daniels is closer to Dan Marino. And he wants to throw the ball all the time. He lives in the same zone as like a Russell Wilson. I think they have very similar games where they want to roll out. They will run if they have to, and they're very good at it, but they don't want to have to run. They want to push the ball down the field. I think that the play action and the pushing is really important for them. So it's about relying on your teammates, and that's going to be the part that's interesting. I'll be 100% honest. I was a Jahan Dotson.
John Dawson. Yeah, I was going to talk to you about him.
I was a 100%. I was all in on him, and we just haven't seen him be healthy enough and live up to the hype that I thought he had. I haven't seen that. I haven't
bad
seen
QB
it.
play too.
Yes, well, yeah, he's not in charge of that.
Yeah,
but you get McLaurin, and so I think he has to rely on his pieces, and I think that's what this offseason is all about: is finding a way to rely on those pieces.
So we have a question that I think is perfect since we're on Jaden. Justin Evans in the chat. I'll show it, put it on the screen. He's asking essentially, do you believe that this is a narrative in which people are saying that Jaden Daniels is a one-read guy or run first, or like Justin Fields? What do you think about that one-read narrative, or just even the comparison to Justin Fields? I'll pass that over to you. He asked me, but I think this is a good point to bring it up.
No, I think the beauty of playing for Herm Edwards was he wasn't allowed to do the bare minimum. And then playing for Brian Kelly, he also wasn't allowed to do the bare minimum. And I think that's really important. I think that's the difference between him and Justin Fields. Justin Fields obviously played at Ohio State. I mean, we can go back and watch was it the national championship game or the semifinal game with Justin Fields and Alabama, Ohio State. And we're watching a guy where he sees a guy uncovered, but his coach is yelling at him, clapping, check with me, check with me, check with me, check with me, instead of just letting him throw the ball to the uncovered guy. And they end up obviously having to kick a field goal there. You flip that over, Jaden Daniels got the pick. He was calling his own plays at Arizona State. When he got to LSU with Brian Kelly, he was also calling his own plays. He was making his own checks. And I think that's important. That's why I hate check with me. But the reality of it is that you see a guy grow up. He's a grown-up. Like, this is a grown-up. This isn't and that's not to say that Justin Fields is not a grown-up. And I think the Steelers, I think Justin Fields is living in this same world with more talent, obviously, than Alex Smith, where he has to unlearn all of his college stuff to get better in the NFL. And I think the Steelers are going to benefit from him, if we're being quite honest. I think the Steelers are going to benefit from him unlearning all the stuff that Ryan Day tried to, like, put into his mind. But Jaden doesn't have to unlearn stuff. He has to learn more things that make him more dangerous.
Well, my question is, who is saying that? Because from one of the strengths that I've kind of looked at and, noticed with Jaden Daniels is everyone kind of talks about how he processes well and how he scans the field well. He's not just looking at one read. He gets his eyes off of the read pretty fast.
Dre, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. Like, if you're a black quarterback and you can run, you're gonna get compared to the next guy.
Right.
Whether it be Lamar, whether it be Justin, that's just what they're doing. It's kind of like the white wide receiver. Ricky Pearsall is gonna get compared to Wes Welker, and they're nothing alike, or Edelman. Like, they're nothing alike. That's all that's happening.
Can we talk about Luke?
Oh, I was going to ask you who you wanted, Luke, or you wanted what's your other boy name?
Please tell me you like this. I'm the only person I think on this podcast, this setting, that likes Luke. So please tell me you're on my side here.
I love Luke McCaffrey, dog.
Go right into it, man. Go ahead.
There we go.
Here's what I'm going to say. I wish he played safety, honestly. Luke, so you think about this, the high school that he played at, right? He's the youngest of all of them. So he gets to high school. His older brother, Dylan, is 5-star quarterback. So he can't play quarterback. He was a bang-up safety and a wide receiver. Like, this guy was a monster. And then he does get his chance to play quarterback, and he plays quarterback, and he does a fine job. But I always viewed him as a safety. And then he goes to Nebraska, and I was like, please play safety at Nebraska. Please play safety here. And then he goes to Nebraska, and he plays quarterback. And I'm like, Then he transfers to Rice. And I'm like, just play safety. And then he plays wide receiver. And he's good. But you can see that safety in him when you watch him play wide receiver. He's incredibly aggressive. He's not contact shy at all. And he wants to fight all the time. Like, this is a man that I would put at safety in a heartbeat.
But Felder,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say what you just said about him not shying away from contact at the safety. I think that's what makes him such a good slot receiver as well. Yep. Like, when you put on the highlight tape of him, he's taking big hits when he catches a lot of those passes, and that's going to be a big target and a big weapon in the NFL at the next level for those quarterbacks, because now quarterbacks are not going to be scared to throw to this guy over the middle, and he's not scared to go across the middle and catch it. And you kind of, what you're saying, I didn't actually know that about the safety background, so that's actually pretty cool, and it actually translates over to what he does at the receiver position.
Yeah, this dude, who said this? Just said Luka.
Luka's Luka Dog. Justin.
Luka Dog.
Yeah, Luka Dog.
Luka Dog. Yeah, he is, dude. I love watching him play, man. Like, watching him play at Rice, watching like the way that he puts his, like he's not afraid. And that I think you know what? Being a wide receiver for him, it's probably easier. Obviously, his dad's a wide receiver. He's got that pedigree. But he also has this, like when you play safety, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where the other guy's going to go. When you play wide receiver, you know where you're supposed to be, when the ball's supposed to come out. And so he's playing wide receiver with a safety mind. So he's like, oh, I would kill this guy here. So how about I cut it? I bend it off. Or how about I push it harder? Or how about I push him here? And if he's going to hit me, he hits me, but I just got to make sure I get the ball. And so he's going to be good. I love Luke. I truly, again, I do wish Luke played. I do wish he played safety. I will say that. Like, I'll stand on business on that one. Like, I wish he played safety. But
hey, Mike,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm totally against the Luke McCaffrey pick, and even in your explanation and your details of knowing him and what he used to play, I'm familiar with him playing safety. I'm surprised that he switched as well, but there was no praise of his wide receiver skill set. When Washington was on the clock with the 100th pick, and they felt the need that they needed a wide receiver with Luke on the board, Troy Franklin from Oregon, Malik Washington from UVA, Tez Walker, and a couple other guys still on the board. If you were Adam Peters and you were in that draft room, would you have picked Luke McCaffrey to be your slot? Because essentially what we've been told locally is they drafted Luke McCaffrey to be featured in the slot. Would you have drafted Luke McCaffrey over those boys that were available at that time?
No, I would have went with the kid from Virginia.
Thank you.
You're not wrong, but to be fair,
yeah,
Luke, I'm gonna tell you what, he reminds me a lot of I don't know if people remember this or not, but he reminds me a lot of Jarvis Landry in his first 2 years at LSU.
Yeah,
where we didn't hear about Jarvis Landry in his first 2 years at LSU, right?
No, not really.
He was a special teams guy, and he was a wide receiver that played L3. And I don't know if people know what L3 is, but if you're L3 on kickoff return or kickoff team, you better be a dog. And that's what Luke has in him. That's what he has. I think that's what he has with the exception of Christian. I think that's what he has over his other two brothers. This dude's a dog. Max, I think he's got more dog in him than Max. I think he's definitely got more dog in him than Dylan. I'm not calling him Christian. Christian is an absolute different and living in a different stratosphere. But I think Luke is the second best one of them, and I'm excited to watch him.
So I think because one thing that stands out to me, Dre, you're right. We never really touched on. Well, we know how AJ felt, but I don't have a problem with the player. I think the question that he asked was valid in like when do you take him, right?
Yes, totally agree.
And I think that's fair. But I think there's one thing to state with Luke and just watching him, like there's like think about the more violent hits that you can take as a wide receiver. Yeah. He's experienced that. And he's gotten right back up. And even some of those he scored for touchdowns.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I think that's probably the more impressive thing. And I think what you said, just even outline how you felt about his brothers compared to him in regards to toughness, it can seem like Washington valued the traits, but also understand that they can develop him further at receiver. And they'll rather take what he has now and work on the rest later and down the road.
No, I totally agree with that. I think that's the point. Like it's obviously it's a developmental pick, but at the end of the day, I listen. I'm not going to be upset. I would have taken somebody else probably, but it doesn't bother me that he's been taken because I think that he is. I mean, he's got the bloodlines, he's got the pedigree, and I think bloodlines and pedigree are two different things, right? Like there's a lot of guys who have dads that played in the NFL or had dads that were really good athletes or had moms that were really good athletes. So there's bloodlines, but then you have pedigree, and pedigree to me is you grew up in this. Like, it's like Succession, right?
Mm-hmm. Love that show.
Like the show on HBO, like it's like I don't know how to be poor. I've been rich my whole life, so I'm never going to be poor. I have this. So I just have to work at it and get really good at it and make it work for me and figure it out. And I think the McCaffreys have shown a very clear desire to be very good at it. We see the same thing in RIP Kobe Bryant, but we see the same thing. We were seeing the same thing with his daughters, with Gianna. We're seeing the same thing with LeBron and Bronny and Bryce and all that. I think that's an element where I don't have to use this to get to where I need to be. I just want to do it so hard. And we watched him go from Nebraska to Rice, change positions. I will do this the best that I can do it. I'm going to do it the way that my dad did it. I'm going to figure it out. And so he's got the athleticism, but he also has that pedigree of, I know what it takes to win, and I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Sainristil, out of
Yes.
Michigan. This was your favorite prospect in the draft, Mike. You got the floor to talk about everything you love about Mike Sainristil out of Michigan.
Okay,
Hold on. Is it your favorite prospect of the Commanders?
I just saw
or
Rick.
The draft in general. Oh, Rick.
I just saw Rick. I just saw the comment, and
I don't want to hear the receiver. We just drafted.
No, Felder, you did set him up for that one. You definitely you threw the alley-oop for that one, man. I knew that was going to come. AJ smiled when you said that too.
When AJ agreed, it's a wrap, bro.
So here's the thing. I'm not. I think now he should play wide receiver for sure.
He ain't got no damn choice but to. He got drafted third round. Like,
but at the same time, for me, I thought when he went to Nebraska, he should have played safety. Is what I'm saying. When he went to Nebraska, he should have played safety. He should have played safety. He shouldn't have tried to play quarterback. He should have played safety. That's all. Now to Mike Sainristil, this is a guy who realized in college the thing that we're talking about, right? I should be playing defense. He was my favorite player in the draft.
Wow.
I love this guy. And I remember talking to, so this is going to sound so freaking bougie. We go to a pool. All right. We go to a neighborhood pool. We're members of this swimming racket club, if you will. Jeez, I hate even saying it.
You meet the expectations. Sound a little bougie. It's cool.
I've never heard of that before.
It's literally a pool and a tennis club together. It's not a golf club. I don't go to a country club. Come on.
I mean, you're only a couple steps away. You only way.
Yeah, really.
Listen. If I make a few more ducats, who knows? But we go, and there are a couple people that went to Michigan, and so last year or 2 years ago, the season is starting, and they're like, "Can you believe they moved Mike Sainristil to defense?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he wasn't that good of a wide receiver." And they were like, "How's he going to learn?" And I was like, and that's when I realized that people don't know who these kids are until they start playing in college. Sometimes until the NFL draft, even. This dude was like the defensive player of the year in Connecticut. This guy was one of the best defensive players where he came from. And Michigan was like, we can use him on offense. And so they put him on offense, which is why the Luke thing is very interesting. They put him on offense, and he was fine. He was one of their best wide receivers. And then they flipped him to defense. And when they flipped him to defense, it was like, boom, let's go. And he fills up your stat sheet. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's like Tyrann Mathieu, but I am going to say that this guy will fill up your stat sheet. Tackles for loss, yes. Sacks, yes. Pass breakups, yes. Interceptions, yes. Tackles in general, yes. He can do all those things. And to me, if you get a guy that can play in your back seven that will fill up your stat sheet, I don't care if it's a guy like coming out of Clemson, Isaiah Simmons, that could fill up your stat sheet, or obviously the Honey Badger that can fill up your stat sheet. If you get a guy that fills up your stat sheet, you're in good hands. And I'm excited because he can play outside, he can play inside. I know they have him. He's apparently prepared to, like, they're preparing him to play slot corner, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so, slot corner, for those of you guys that are listening that don't know about this, slot corner is a double duty job because you have to be able to play a little bit of contain in the run game. You have to play backside A in the run game, but you also have to be able to cover someone deep. But you also have to be able to play this tough technique. And that tough, when I say tough, I'm saying TUFF, tough, where you flat foot read and then catch a tight end or catch a slot receiver, redirect, and keep moving with them. And in the NFL, it's even harder because, especially with the rules, like, it's like you can't really touch them. So you have to, like, I don't even know what this is, but you got to, like, move with them that way. Like you're doing a samba or something. It's wild.
You have to be really instinctive. You have to be a really instinctive player at the slot position, which I think Mikey Sainristil is. I think with him, what I love about him is that he can diagnose plays, a quick stepper than most defensive players can. Like, he's not the fastest guy on the field. He's not the biggest guy on the field. But the biggest thing with Mikey Sainristil is that he can diagnose a play. And that's why you see him react quicker than a lot of the guys. So would you say day one starter, slot cornerback, at least for Mikey Sainristil?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Great.
I want him playing right now. I want him playing right now. He is, in my mind, watching how instinctual he is. Like, hang on, let me look at the depth chart.
Oh, you ain't got to worry about that.
No, hang on. No, I'm Bobby Wagner.
That's the last thing you need to do is look at that depth chart.
Bobby Wagner's in charge, right?
Yeah.
He's the quarterback of the defense.
Bobby Wagner's in charge.
So then the outside corners is Ben
St. Juice.
Michigan.
He's another Michigan guy.
Manuel
Mike Sainristil is going to be making decisions.
So you think after Bobby Wagner kind of fades out, he'll have the green dot in the sense?
I don't think he'll get the green dot because you're going to give it to another linebacker, and I understand that. Everybody wants to – it's easier for that guy to talk to the other guys. That's the thing that people don't realize about that green dot. Like, if you give that green dot to a safety and that team makes it so that safety has to be far away, they can't talk to everyone, the linebacker's always going to get a green dot. We've seen it very rarely be given to a defensive lineman or given to a guy in the secondary. But when I say make decisions, I think that he's going to be talking to the green dot a lot.
So I do got a question about Mikey, and it's the same question that I proposed to another analyst, and it's just his frame. Does that concern you at all? And I think, I see you nodding, but I think the reason why I bring it up is because, like, one thing that we appreciated here in Washington last year was Emmanuel Forbes when he was drafted. 170-ish playing weight. And we're talking about a person who played in the SEC. And I think, now, a lot of people was excited, but I did see when I watched this tape that he made some business decisions when he was at Mississippi State. And I think that was something where it's like, okay, sure, he was instinctive in terms of how he took his angles in the run game or just making a tackle, but a lot of his tackles weren't necessarily head on. And I think with him, he ultimately gets hurt in his rookie season, hurts his elbow. He had some other nagging injuries here and there. And the frame ended up being somewhat of a concern. Mikey, does that exist to you in any way, or he's kind of good to go for you?
You've watched him, right? You watched his college stuff.
Mikey, I'm working backwards. I've done Ben, I've done Luke.
Who else has watched it?
Yeah, I'm about to say maybe them.
No, I've watched it. I watched it for sure.
When did he ever shy away from anything?
Yeah, I never seen him shy away from any bump at all. Like, I think that's one of the main attributes that he brings to the table. He's really not scared to put his head in there at all. He's a willing and more than capable tackler. Even if he does miss on the tackle, at least he'll give it his best. Like, he'll try. You kind of see, without even knowing his heritage, you could kind of see the Haitian in him, in a sense, on the field. Like, you could see the aggressiveness, the will to want to, take somebody down. And I think that's something that you rarely see from a guy that transitions from wide receiver to cornerback. Like, take a Trayvon Diggs, moving from at Alabama from wide receiver to corner. You don't see those guys willingly, capable to put their head in there and get in the mix and get dirty. And I definitely don't see that from Mikey at all with any hesitation. He's green light the entire time.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to say I said Connecticut. When I said Connecticut, I was thinking of Christian Wilkins.
You meant Boston,
from Massachusetts. Yes.
New England.
Yes. What's the difference? They're all jammed together.
Yeah, they're like 30 minutes away.
So, no, the thing for me with him is this dude's a fighter. And I think that's why it was good for him to be on defense. It gave him a chance to do the stuff that he could do and to be active on every play. Like, if you're a wide receiver and you have a defensive mentality, which again, he was one of the defensive, he was the man on defense in Massachusetts. When you have that mentality and then all it takes is the quarterback doesn't look at you or the coach wants to run the ball, you're just standing around. You're standing around. And it sucks. And so for him, I'm not worried about his size. Obviously, 5'9", 180 something pounds, 5'9", 190 pounds. Yes.
5'9", 190, not too bad.
He's gonna be fine. And he'll be fine. He's gonna be fine. He moves. I think that there's a fire in him. And again, this is someone that I already said is my favorite player in the draft. There's a fire inside of this guy that he will fill up your stat sheet. And again, he didn't get drafted in the first round, right?
Nope. Second
round, middle of the second round. So we don't have to talk about him the way that we talk about with the Lions drafting Brian Branch.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is a value pick that will be a plus starter for your football team. And I think that's value. And for a team that is obviously working to change the identity, literally with the name change, but also in terms of who they are in terms of drafting and all that stuff, it's important to get guys like this. We're watching it with the Detroit Lions right now, aren't we?
No, definitely.
Yeah. Shit, last year they got their boy at 12.
Brian Branch.
Yeah.
I was just talking
Gibbs.
Yeah, Jameer.
Gibbs. They got
but
Gibbs.
We got their former
Campbell.
assistant GM.
They got Campbell. They got Gibbs. They got Campbell. They got Branch. They got 3 guys in their first 3 picks that will work. Guys that will work. And Sainristil, to me, is a guy that's going to work. And I don't just mean he's going to fit into a system. I mean he's going to work. He's going to bust his ass to make sure that everything that he does is right. And I think that's really important.
Well, Felder, I got to agree. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, there's a lot of guys that we could talk about within this draft because Washington had so many picks within the first 3 rounds. One person that I would like to get to, and I'm pretty sure Dre would get the next guy, Ben Sinnott, coming out of Kansas State. Adam Peters, after making that selection, said to the media that Ben Sinnott reminds him of a Kyle Juszczyk or George Kittle. In your evaluation of that player, have you seen any of those traits that could be carried over to the NFL, and how do you see him, making his way rookie season as possibly being tight end number one for the Commanders?
I'm not a huge Sinnott guy. He got better every year, so I think that's a big plus. But I'm not a huge Ben Sinnott guy. So I'm trying to be honest. I think he can be good.
No, we appreciate that honesty over here.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Ben Sinnott guy, and I worry, I'm like, man, like if we were talking about reaches in this draft, you brought up Luke McCaffrey. Like Luke McCaffrey is less of a reach to me than Sinnott.
So what is it about Sinnott that you kind of just not a fan about? Like, what is it, the projection at the next level? Like, I mean, do you see him as a TE number one, or do you just kind of see him as a guy that's going to be more depth piece in a sense?
Yeah, I think listen, if you're going to use your pick, what is it, round 2?
Yeah.
Second round.
If you're going to use that on a guy that mostly is going to, I hope he's mostly just blocking.
So you're not a fan of his receiving abilities. I mean, he's very athletic. I think that's what kind of pushed him into the second round. I do think he was more of a third to fourth round guy without the athletic testing, and I think the athletic testing kind of pushed him to that second round. So, I mean, do you think that kind of will translate trait-wise, or you're just not high on him at all?
I want to see, and here's the thing, and this is something that we have to talk about. Maybe go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, because when Dre was talking about the testing part, I was like, there has to. I feel like his testing numbers, and you tell me if I feel like his testing numbers did him a favor. I don't see his testing numbers when I watch his tape. Yeah, I don't see none of that, and that confuses me because it's like I see what they see in him in terms of his versatility, but like what I see in Dre, this is what I was saying when we drafted him, like. When you draft a tight end that high for us, Mike, if you're drafting a tight end that high for Washington, who doesn't really have a person who can dominate or take over in terms of a pass game, or even just being able to stay on the field in the run game, like I don't think Ben is your guy because he's not a strong asset in the receiving game. I think he only does a couple things well. A lot has to do with him uncovering against zone, and just understanding some aspects of that. But like athletically, he struggles to separate, and that bothers me because it's like, how much do you want to put on his plate in the passing game? Like you said it, and that's how I feel like you really gotta value that guy as a blocker in order to make him work in terms of the run and pass game in your offense.
Well, the other part is how you can't run the same plays that he ran at K-State in the NFL. You can't run those plays. And most of his plays were the pick and pops. And you can't do that. So if you can't do the pick and pop, if you can't do that, and you want him in the game, he's going to have to run actual routes. Everything he did was this. The little this or the little this. That's what he did. It's not a ton of boom, boom, sit. It's in the seam, living in the seam. And that seam is because I'm looking over here and the safety moves. Once the safety moves, now I get it here and I get him right here. And so that's the part that's going to be really interesting in the NFL for him is how do we fit this in? How do we make this a part of it? Like, it's going to be interesting. Like Antonio Gates ran routes, right? Tony Gonzalez ran routes. Travis Kelce runs routes. If you're getting a guy in the second round, you're going to need him to run some routes and be able to get open. Like, listen, I I'm friends with Wesley Walls. Wesley Walls ran routes. And I just don't know how that works for him. And so that's a thing he has to learn. And then like it's hard to get up to speed. So we'll see. Like we're watching Cole Kmet struggle for the Chicago Bears, right? Like it's just it's not easy to play tight end. It's not.
Right. And look, I mean, I appreciate that honesty. We appreciate that honesty on the show. That's what we're here for, whether we agree or not. I know, Mual seems to agree with you. I don't really know too much if he can run the routes to the next level. It's just more so I do like the athletic profile of him and the toughness he does play with physicality.
I love his profile too.
Right. But I mean, you have a point. I mean, we have to see the route running at the next level. But the guy I really want to ask you about, and this is probably the last guy we're probably going to cover with the time we have left, but obviously the second round pick we had, I mean, Johnny Newton. I mean, it was actually a surprise pick for me because, D tackle is one position group that Washington is just – you have guys that you have, John Allen, you have Deron Payne there. You even drafted Fedarian Mathis a couple of years ago from Alabama, but he hasn't really panned out so far in the NFL. But then you draft Johnny Newton with your first pick in the second round out of Illinois. Obviously, a lot of people thought he was going to be a first round pick. And a lot of people, including myself, were surprised to see the pick, not because he wasn't a good player or we didn't think he was going to be good, but more so because we felt like, man, we're solidified at D tackle. We're not looking at this guy. But after kind of digging a little bit deeper on him, I feel like this guy has some really good potential at that position, at that D tackle position. How do you feel about him?
Well, how do you guys feel about it? Because let me ask you guys, because you guys are all Commanders folks. Are you like, who are you going to lose?
Probably John Allen. I mean, not this year, but eventually John Allen's going to go.
When you say lose, you mean at that particular position group?
Yes, just at that interior defensive line position. Who are you going to lose?
I mean, I don't think they're going into this particularly thinking about losing anyone. I think just from what I've seen from Dan Quinn in Seattle and Cowboys. As we also seen the Cowboys last year invest their first round pick in Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. Yeah. They are looking to create a rotation on the defensive line. Okay. So the more guys that they can, get off the field and get some breathers and be able to bring in other guys that bring, attributes to the table such as pass rushing, run stopping, whatever. I think that's what they ultimately want. And that's something where in Dallas, he never really had that opportunity with the interior guys. Of course, you had like Ozzie, you had Mozzie, like I mentioned, who they drafted last year, but they were never able to truly develop inside the trenches there. They always had to really rely on DeMarcus Lawrence to be healthy and move him around. And then, of course, with Michael Parsons, he's playing off-ball linebacker. Sometimes he's lining up over the center. He's lining up at either end side. But I think when you sit back and look at what Washington has with their rotational pieces, and even when you look at the linebacker that they added in Frankie Louvu from Carolina, they seem to just want a collection of pass rushers. Not necessarily run stoppers, but pass rusher, guys that they can truly get after the quarterback with. So I don't see them wanting to lose anyone as far as right now. Maybe next year, but right now, keep them as a collective.
Yeah, I don't think that they want to lose. What I'm thinking about is salary cap, money. Who can they afford? Can they afford to keep everyone?
Yeah, they can afford to
this year. But I think it's more. I was going to say I think it's more of a future projection. Like John Allen doesn't have any guaranteed money on his contract. I think even right now, I don't think he has any guaranteed money. So he's a guy in 17. 2017, yes. Yeah. And I think he's 30. I'm not exact sure on the age, but he's a guy that you may lose after this year. So maybe Newton steps into that role.
And that's all I was that's what I was asking the question about. Was like he's gonna have to replace somebody. Because they can't keep I understand Dan Quinn wants a rotation. I understand that completely. You can't keep everyone. We saw the Rams go through this. Obviously, the Rams is a different situation where they literally the Rams basically got one of those Tom Selleck reverse mortgages. So it's yeah, but he's going to have to step in. And obviously there's Fowler's there, but Fowler doesn't play the same position. So you've got to figure out how you're going to make this work. And for me, he is someone, when you talk about Newton, and this is the thing I love, and I've loved this the last 2 seasons. There have been, I think, 4 schools from the Big Ten that I've just loved what they do. Illinois, Iowa, Maryland, and Rutgers. You get
defensively, speaking about
defensively, yes,
just
defensively.
Got you. Because Iowa wouldn't be in no offense conversation
Unless it's a
tight ends, yeah.
Unless it's a tight end, Laporta, yes.
But defensively, these guys all come from the same, like they're all cut from the same cloth. Like they know what they're supposed to do, and they do their job. And that's what you're getting with Newton, is a guy that does his job. And I love that about him, is he shows up. He's going to show up every day, do his job. He's never going to be a problem off the field. God, please knock on wood on that one. And just, he's going to do his job. And I think that's important. And I think there's real, like, I played defense in college. I played safety at UNC. And I might not look like it now, but I'm working on it. But the biggest thing for me is defense. All you have to do on defense is show up and do your job. And I know that anyone from one of those schools is going to show up and do their job. They're going to show up. They're going to do their job. I don't care if it's Devon Witherspoon. I don't care if it's Newton, like from Iowa. I don't care if it's anyone, Cooper DeJean from Iowa. I don't care who it is. They're going to show up. They're going to do their job.
Illinois, Quan Martin.
Yeah, you show up, you do your job, and you go home. That's all they want. That's it. It's what you show up, you do your job. And that's something to me that I don't think a lot of people put enough value in that. You know what? Let me write that down, because I'm gonna have to do that on the podcast.
Do your thing, man. This is a perfect moment. Take your time, man.
Show up and do
your job.
You
can actually post that right, but you could actually post that as a slogan right behind that picture.
That sound like some.
You guys send me the link for this. I'll make sure I throw it in there too. But like it is, that's all defense is. Showing up and doing your job. It's the same thing as being a dad. It's the same thing as being a teacher. Same thing as being a teacher. Like you show up, you do your job.
Mike, man, I think this has been, because I don't know. Shout out to AJ for setting this up, because I don't know how long we supposed to have you on, but it was a great conversation. I want to give you the floor. Appreciate you showing love. I want to give you the floor just to let you plug anything and everything that you got going on, where they can find you, read your work, hear your work, or see your work, everything that you got going on, boss man.
So check me out. It's felder.substack.com. And I do shows for Bleacher Report. I do College Sports Now for Learfield. We're going to get started. We're about to get kicked back up right now. And I also do a show that's called Hand in the Dirt. And it is, it's a gardening podcast about football. So
run it back.
It's it's a show called Hand in the Dirt. It is a gardening podcast about football and really a lifestyle podcast. But we talk, it's me and a couple of my friends. We talk about we do talk gardening, we talk lawn care, but we also talk about football. And then we talk about we do rad dad moments. Like, do you guys have any rad dad moments?
Maybe one of these.
I'm the only dad here.
I'm about to say maybe one of these guys.
Yes.
Give me a rad dad.
What's the definition of a rad dad in your opinion? And I'll give you one.
Okay, so my rad dad moment for this week was I took my daughter outside and we counted how many roses that we had. So we worked on counting, and we got her outside, no screen time. And we walked around our entire house and counted how many roses we had. And I was like, this is a pretty good rad dad thing. And then we went inside and made pizza, or made we made pizza together. Rad dad.
Okay. So that's pretty cool. My rad dad moments are a little bit different because my kids are a little bit older at this point. So my rad dad moments right now consist of probably watching some little TV show they want to watch. Like, hey,
Dad, some little TV show. What's the TV
yeah,
show,
like,
Dre?
Okay, so I've never watched, and you gonna probably laugh at me because you probably watched this before. I've never watched a show called The Rap Game before, so my daughter made me watch The Rap Game with her. It's with kids. It's a bunch of kids trying to rap for Jermaine Dupri and come up the scene. So I had to watch that. And apparently it's an old show. I've never watched it before, but this is something I've done with them recently. So I just watched Rap Game. My rad dad moment of the week.
There you go. I might have to listen. I might have to hit you up because she's 6 now, and I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a rad dad moment for Dre watching Rap Battle because that show is probably like 10 years old to the point where one of the main characters on the show is out here shaking her ass on a regular basis by the name of Lotto.
Oh, for real? Lotto on that show?
Lotto was on first season.
She's a full adult shaking her ass and talking.
But
about
she wasn't doing
that
on the radio. So if you
she wasn't doing that on the show.
They don't do any cursing on the show.
But that's how much of a rad dad you are because you're watching 10-year-old damn reruns.
I'm out of touch with reality.
And acting like this shit premiered Thursday, every Thursday at 9 p.m.
Hey, and I'm watching it with my kids like it came out this week. It's new to me. It's new to me.
Rad Dad Dre, Rad Dad Mike, man.
Listen, I'm just I'll be honest. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm proud to be like the rad dad part. The other rad dad is every Tuesday afternoon, my kid takes out the trash. We're good to go.
Chores already. There we go.
Hey, well, Mike, man, we appreciate you, boss, man. Definitely a good show. I want to make sure we stay in touch. So whenever we get some time, man, we'll definitely be glad to welcome you back, man, and chop it up some more about these college prospects. Are you watching? I know you're watching Shador. You started watching Shador yet?
Yeah, of course. He's good.
He's good.
What is it? What are we looking at? Him, Quinn Ewers.
It's a bad class next year, right? It's not
good. It's not good.
Yeah. I mean, with the kid from Penn State, I'm not a fan of him.
The dude transferred to Ohio State too. He played with Ben, right?
Yeah,
he's coming out.
I
think he's coming out.
I mean, like the fact that Ohio State had to get a transfer quarterback
Will Howard.
Like it's wild. So this is going to be interesting. And then obviously you got Riley Leonard. It's going to be interesting at Notre Dame.
Cam Ward, that's my guy.
Cam Ward, I love Cam Ward. This is going to be really interesting to see how this all shakes itself out because, I mean, we've seen it work out, we've seen it not work out. So I'm very curious to see what happens. I love Cam Ward. Cam Ward this guy's been on a journey, and but he's kind of like Michael Penix, right? Like he's going to get into the NFL, and he's going to be what, 24?
He up there. He's going to be up there.
24. Let me ask you guys this: what do you think about the Penix Falcons situation?
I think it's horrible, man. I can be the first to say. I mean, no, it's not because I don't like Michael Penix as a prospect. I just feel like, I feel like Atlanta made a rash decision to kind of draft him because if they had any foresight that they were going to draft Michael Penix, they wouldn't have signed Kirk Cousins to all that money. Because I think Michael Penix was a guy that you could probably start right away. I mean, with his age, he's not a guy that you're kind of sitting on the bench and want him to learn in a sense. So I think this was a decision that Atlanta made within the last week. I don't think they had this decision ready for a couple of months, or else you don't sign a Kirk Cousins for a couple of months. I mean, well, you don't sign him to all that money. And if you are signing Kirk Cousins to all that money, your first pick is, looking to build with Kirk Cousins because that window's not open that long with a quarterback like a Kirk Cousins. So that was just my gripe with it. I thought it was just a panic decision in the sense that, oh man, shit, man, like we like him now. Like we just decided we liked him and we're going to draft him without much planning and foresight. And I think they had to kind of explain that decision in the sense that I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought if you make the move for Kirk Cousins, you make a move to kind of build around him and kind of maximize that little bit of window time that you have to contend with a Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the pick definitely surprised me. But I actually have a relationship with Raheem Morris, the head coach. So I talked to him after the draft or whatever, and basically the conversation, it made sense. He's going into an opportunity. This is his second job as being a head coach. He didn't want to get in a particular situation where if something goes wrong with Kirk Cousins, they're scrambling because they already moved on from Desmond Ridder. They traded him to Arizona.
Yep.
You still got Taylor Heineke on the roster, but that's not a guy that you really want to put out there and put your job on the line, especially as a black coach. If you can go ahead and make that investment, you have the opportunity to secure somebody who I think we all can kind of agree was one of the top passers within this draft. And they still were able to add some defensive players in the second round and third. They added Rook from Clemson, Brandon Dorlus, who I like as a pass rusher from Oregon. I think they just looked at it as, Kirk is older. He's coming off an Achilles injury. You never know how that really could go. He's already not a mobile guy, so he's really stationary within the pocket. If something goes wrong or he ends up having an issue before training camp or during training camp, preseason, whatever, they got a guy that they can kind of rely on and that's mature and already does things at an elite level as far as passing and accuracy.
Why not draft a Spencer Rattler, AJ? If that's the case, draft a guy you can. He's developing, right? Like Michael Penix, you're looking at him as a developing quarterback.
But like we said on this show, you also don't want to go into the draft needing certain things. So they felt like they could commit that money to Kirk Cousins, and however it plays out, because really Kirk didn't have that many teams that were going to give him that kind of money. Yes, it's a shit ton of money.
I also think the 5 years is better than the 4. That's the one. That's another thing too.
Yeah, so it's just like you get a quarterback. You get a quarterback where you can use the option. He's gonna be older, but that's kind of like what's going on in college football right now, due to how you could transfer and play in NIL. Like that's just something that we all have to get accustomed to. That a lot of these quarterbacks coming into the draft are going to be 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I saw someone say something about Arch and Arch Manning. Yeah, Quinn Ewers is going to have to get up out of there, huh?
Yeah.
He's going to have to. I mean, he did himself a service this year, lighting that shit up. Because I know before the season started, I don't know for sure, but I'm certain that there was a lot of people waiting for Arch.
Arch is going to be a problem. Yeah, Arch is this dude is going to be like he's Arch. I think Arch Manning. Again, we talked about pedigree, and we talked about bloodlines.
I got an issue with Arch Manning. I got one.
But you got to add in that booster stuff too. You got to add in that booster stuff. Them schools paying a lot of money for Arch to be there.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna tell you my big issue, and y'all probably gonna laugh at this, but my big issue is the dude won't put his name, image, and likeness on the new college football game that we've been waiting for 12 years now, because he's too focused on being a backup this year. He can't put his name.
What does $600 do for Arch Manning?
Hey man, it makes us happy. I'm trying to win like 50 dynasty.
No. How does this take him off, or how does this take his focus off preparing for the season by just putting your name in the game? That doesn't take his focus off the season.
I'm just saying, like Arch ain't worried about $600.
Nah, but see, like the star collegiate guys,
he can get that 600 to me if he don't care about it.
But the top guys, they get to negotiate a different deal with EA.
And he doesn't want to worry about it.
The issue is he just doesn't even want to negotiate it, which is cool because he comes from the bloodline of two guys that did it at a premium level, so they kind of navigate him through. It's similar to like what's going on with Marvin Harrison and his jerseys not being able to be sold through the NFLPA and Fanatics. It's just one of those things. If you're gonna have these kids coming from these certain bloodlines, they gonna be business savvy.
Not worried about it, dog.
As hell when it comes to these licensing rights.
But I like that they're
took his focus away. Yeah, I mean, but would you have questioned it if he was gonna be in the game? Like, damn man, Arch Manning, he's not focused on this upcoming season because he's putting his name in this game.
No,
I mean, I thought it was stupid.
Listen, I think that it would have been a bit. I think that he's opting out. And I think opting out can be a good thing because of the idea of this is not I don't want to be a part of this. Now, what happens is you guys, me, we all have to talk about it, obviously. So it does become a thing. But I think at the end of the day, what hit in his mind, he's like, I'm not. It's like it's the same as when guys get off Twitter, right? Or get off Instagram or whatever and opt out of like being involved in that part of the conversation. But for me, when I look at it, I just am like, yeah, he doesn't need the money. The money's not like, he's not doing.
None of them do now. Neil has made it so none of these dudes need the money, really. Except for the lower tier guys. Yeah, the lower tier guys.
The good ones don't need the money. They like it. But if you've been famous your whole life, like it's, it's like if Kevin Hart's kid was like, "Are you sure you want me to do this?" He'd be like, I don't think I will. So it is what it is. I had one more question for you guys.
Yes, sir.
What do we think about the Carolina Panthers?
Oh Lord.
Oh damn.
Where's this going?
I'm not a Panthers fan, just for the record.
Okay.
I think that whole situation is interesting, mainly starting with their head coach. I like him. What he did with Baker last year in the Tampa Bay offense, but also the year before with Seattle. So I'm intrigued with what he can do with Bryce Young. But I'm also a little nervous because I don't know what's true and what's not true of that owner. Like, I understand he's in the headlines for all of the wrong reasons, but how disruptive
I'm sure you saw the video.
I mean, not just the video. I mean, this guy has been making headlines, as Mual said, in a sense. And that's my biggest worry with the Carolina Panthers right now, because I actually like Bryce Young. And I was actually, not one of the people that was kind of dogging him for the season he just had. I just didn't think not many quarterbacks would have come into that situation in Carolina and succeeded under the circumstances. But the owner is the biggest question mark to me. And the reason why the owner is the biggest question mark for me, because we just seen the worst owner in professional football for the last 20 years. I mean, and some of the things we're hearing out of Carolina is kind of eerily similar to Dan Snyder's early years. And as you can see, when you have an owner like that kind of meddles and kind of doesn't really know what he should know as an owner, or kind of know when to step back, and he wants to kind of control things, but he doesn't have the kind of landscape or the experience to control things.
Yep.
You kind of notice that everything else doesn't really matter if that owner is kind of pulling all of the strings and he's undermining the staff that he's hiring. And he's micromanaging your coaches and your general managers on a daily basis. It doesn't give you the operating space to kind of have a functional, succeeding franchise. And that's kind of what I'm worried about with Carolina right now. But I do like Dave Canales, the guy they got from Tampa Bay. I mean, he's an offensive-minded guy, and I do hope that they kind of put the resources in the development and the training into Bryce Young, because I do like Bryce Young. I mean, I think there's something there with him, but you just got to kind of give him the resources he needs to succeed and just kind of hope that the owner stays out of the way.
I think they did a good job of picking up some guys, though, too. Like, I give them credit for that. Like, they gave him some help. I like the Deontay Johnson move. I loved him. I mean, obviously he deals with some drops here and there, but like, he's a playmaker on all three levels, and I think you needed that to give some help to Adam Thielen, bro, who's 39 years old. He's old as shit. So, like,
hey, time out. That's how old I am.
All right, 38. You know what I'm saying? 30, 40. I'm
39 too. I'm 39.
but I do think they've done a decent job of helping them out. I think they even drafted Jatavian Sanders, which I think works for them. But yeah, it's just I wanted to see what the Bucks former Bucks OC can do as the head coach. I don't even know if it may be too early for him, like as a head coaching opportunity, but we're gonna see.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I have to go to the pool with these people next week or this weekend actually, and I got to talk with them. So I'm glad you guys gave me something to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's much to talk about. I think I would probably just move on to another subject, honestly, when it came to Panthers, because I feel like they haven't added enough weapons around Bryce Young. Yeah, I know the additions of the two linemen, Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, to the offensive line to play guard and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted Xavier Legette, like you guys
You
just
like
mentioned.
him?
Saying I like Xavier Legette, but
Have you heard him talk?
Yeah, I've definitely heard him talk. I would do a little country ass imitation of him, but I'm not gonna do that.
Listen, that dude, I'm like, yo, he sound like he from here, for real. I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, I just feel like they haven't put enough speed at wide receiver in that group for Bryce Young. Deontay Johnson, headache
the
case.
Dolphins, it's crazy, like what the Dolphins have done immediately.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, let's just go fast. The Dolphins are like, you know what? Let's get a Ferrari.
It makes sense.
They have to. In that conference.
You can't cheat speed.
And then the Panthers are like, we're going to get this big guy, and then we're going to have another big guy in Terrace Marshall, and then
you got Jonathan Mingo last year from Ole Miss.
Mingo, yeah, and then we're going to have Thielen. So
yeah,
what are we doing?
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about, but I think that their defense will be good still. Yeah, I don't have any questions about the defense, what they're doing over there. It's more so offensively, can Canales get it done with the collection of the talent pool that they have so far?
We'll see. It's weird to not have I will say this, like, I'm not a Panthers fan, but it is weird to not have Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly. It is very weird to not like have.
Well, we had Thomas Davis. We had him for a little stint.
Yeah, he did a good job coaching up the players, man. You know, for 2 seconds.
What you say, for 2 seconds?
Yeah, for 2 seconds. Yeah, Ron Rivera thought that was a good idea. I was going to transform the culture. You know what I'm saying? And look where they got him.
Listen, I don't know what rehab he did, but Thomas Davis tore his ACL like 3 times and got faster every time. How did that happen?
Man, so I respect that, bro.
He did them PEDs. That's why he got suspended.
Man.
All right, let's go. I got to get out of here.
There it is, man. Hey, Mike, we appreciate you, big dog.
I got to go watch Jeopardy with my wife tonight.
I mean, you asked.
Rad husband time.
I gotta go do Jeopardy with my wife and try to get in bed. We got the golf tournament going on here in Charlotte, and it changes the entire morning routine, which I don't think people realize that, but when you live near a golf course, it's the traffic is insane. Damn. It changes. I have to take my kid to school in a completely different way. So
wow.
Well, we're not going to delay you from the inevitable anymore, man. You got things to take care of, you know. But it was good. It was good talking to you, big dog. You be safe, bro. And we definitely going to be in touch, man.
Sounds good. You guys take it easy.
Yes, sir. There goes Michael Felder, a Bleacher Report and Substack. There we go. Boom. Did I get this right? Oh, shoot. There we go. All right, fellas. That was a good episode. And it just completely eliminated every single thing that I had on the topic list because of that conversation. All right. Let's just do this last thing because Hawk is on point, and then we're out of here. Drake versus Kendrick, bruh. I think this is probably one of the best things that I've seen in a long time with the rap beat, bruh. The music that they produced out of this, I think has been incredible. I've never researched as much as I have, not because it's something super intelligent. Yeah, I just had to spend time be like, all right, what does this mean? And I had fun doing it. I just had fun doing the shit. Were y'all a fan of the back and forth, or did y'all not care at all?
I thought Kendrick had one of the better battle rap performances in recent history. I think he smoked Drake, to be honest with you. Drake, and honestly, Drake. I don't even think Drake made bad music in this. I thought Drake, the couple of responses that he had was pretty good, but it would have been enough to beat a Meek Mill. It would have been enough to beat a lot of guys in this era, but I just thought Kendrick was just too prepared for the battle, man. He was smart about how he went about it. He was calculated, and he made it to the point where not a lot of people, because a lot of people, the Drake fans are going to stay behind Drake regardless, but a lot of people that was kind of in the middle are looking at Drake a little bit differently now, and that's how you can kind of tell who won a rap battle when you look at the people in the middle and which way they sway. Like, you don't look at the stands because the stands going to go their ways regardless, but the people in the middle, I think, are looking at Drake a little bit differently now, some of those people.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the Drake and Kendrick thing, they both got their own separate crowds. Like, they make two different styles of music. Of course, we're familiar with their collaborations in the past, whether it be Kendrick, debuting on I want to say it's the Take Care album for Drake, and also them doing Poetic Justice together. I think my whole confusion with everything, I don't even know what the hell is the issue. I still don't know the issue. Like whether it be from the Like That record kind of kicking off everything to fast forward to now, I still don't really understand what the issue is. I don't know if it's because he's viewed as the top dog like Drake or what. I don't know what the issue is, but I feel like you got some good music that was made. I think that Kendrick definitely utilized the time that he had of 2 weeks to build up a collection of records so that when Drake did drop, he could drop right immediately after that and drop another thing again and go from there. I just think it's kind of like one guy's busy and the other guy got a whole bunch of free time on his hand, and he's just gonna keep going smash.
That's the Drake bias coming out of AJ right there.
I listen to more Drake. I'm not gonna sit here and fake. I listen to both artists, but I listen to way more Drake than Kendrick. I just think that overall, nobody wins or loses in this battle. Like, that's always been my opinion. I think it was friendly competition in the beginning, but then when you start putting out there that someone, plays with little kids and stuff, like that's crazy.
Or beats his wife and shit like that.
It's like if we don't have facts behind this, that's very insane. And I think you've seen an episode today where they said like the shooting that took place at Drake's home in Toronto is because when you start mentioning things like, especially kids and tying them with Epstein and all that, like, we got crazy people in this world. Like, no matter what we got going on in America, there's other people that go crazy. They say it was drive-by shooting at his crib. Like, I just think that's where it gets a bit dangerous because people do not play when it comes to kids, especially. And if you don't have no facts behind that, that's a very dangerous road to go down. And that's why I'm disappointed with both of them. It's like, if y'all got evidence of whatever you're claiming on these tracks, man, go ahead, throw that out there, bro. Like, but don't just be making up lies just to make up lies because lies sound good, and that's typically what spreads in conversations, the lies versus the truth.
I don't necessarily disagree at all. I think that it has become toxic from the sense of like it actually makes these guys look completely childish if you think about it from a macro perspective. Like, it's mudslinging with no facts behind it. Like, there's no proof behind any of the or validity behind any of the things that they're saying. But I also think, from contextually speaking, another thing that we have to take into account is the fact that it is a rap battle, and a lot of the things that you do claim in a rap battle don't really come with proof. Like, it comes with everything that you just say in the battle itself, like on a bar. And I think the entertainment line is one thing, but if it sounds good in a rap battle, if it sounds good on a song, they'll say it. But I think this, like, the level in which they went, like, think about it. They didn't just keep it like here. They went low. They went super low, and they was like, "Fuck you."
Don't the best rap battles? Don't the best rap battles in history? They get really personal. Tupac talked about smashing Biggie's wife. Jadakiss and Beanie Siegel was one of my best rap battles of all time. People got killed behind that beat. But they got really low, and I don't even think that was the intention of this rap battle. Like, Kendrick gave them light jabs. Even in the Like That, they were light jabs. Then Drake, but Drake, that's what he does. Drake kind of gets a little bit of, Drake gonna get a little disrespectful with some of his stuff. And I think that's what caused Kendrick to up his disrespectfulness. And that's what happens in a good rap battle. And the best ones, you look at the guys throwing these punches. I know us from the sidelines, we're like, oh man, these guys going too deep and too bad. But we got evidence from history.
I just think
we got evidence. It
don't
happens.
think we done,
This happens. No, it might not be.
I don't
Kendrick
think
probably
we
still
done.
have more for him. I think
There's
Drake
no
might
way.
be done.
Like Drake is petty, and so is Kendrick, right? Petty as well. And Kendrick's gonna have to drop a video for this track that's blowing up. And when that video comes out, whatever, like I think Drake's gonna continue to go after him, and they're gonna continue to do it.
I
to
think
one
Drake's
another.
done. No, because and the reason why I say Drake's done, I think Drake does have a lot of self-awareness, and Drake kind of realized that he's not really winning this battle. So that's why you kind of seen him come out with this last song he just came out with. Like, man, he's like, I'm done. He even said it, even in the caption. The caption was what kind of made me realize that he was done, because the caption was kind of like a plea, like, stop, Kendrick. Like, the caption said, I know you're going to drop something 6 minutes after this. And that was kind of him trying to get on top of it before Kendrick does, because he saw what Kendrick already did to his moment with Family Matters on that Friday night. Like, Drake probably thought that was the last thing he needed to do.
He thought that was the fire. That was it. Fire. This is it. Which it was a tough song.
It was. And I'm not taking nothing away from that song.
I'm so mad I missed that night, bro. I was over there in the motherfucking strip club going crazy.
Yes.
Had a football tournament the next day, and my man's telling me in the group chat, while y'all over there cutting up, Kendrick and Drake dropped the jump tonight, bro. Yes. I missed everything. The only thing I came back to was the Not Like Us jump. And I was like, motherfucker.
That was an encore. That was Kendrick's encore right there. But like you said, that Family Matters was supposed to be it for Drake. And I think he thought that was his mic drop. He had no clue that Kendrick was dropping in 30 minutes and still in his shine. Like, Kendrick completely took the whole air out of a really good diss song. Out of a really good diss. And that's when I think Drake realized that I can't win this. And then when he dropped Like Us, or Not Like Us, that was like the cherry on top. So Drake was just pretty much that last diss song.
I think the last one was just super defensive from Drake.
It was in response to allegations.
Yeah, he didn't even spend no time going at. And on top of that, what was that the jump? Which one was it? Everyone before that one was always directed at all of the people he was beefing with. Like, he really never gave an undivided track to Kendrick except for that last one, bro. That's the only thing I think that he could have done better.
Yeah, that's why I felt like Kendrick was sitting on tracks and Drake was literally having to make them joints in live action. Like,
Drake got ghostwriters too.
Hold on now, Kendrick did that too.
To make those tracks on Saturday, Sunday. I feel like Kendrick's joint was all laid out. He was like,
Not Like Us. Them Jones.
Not like Us. The crazy thing is, Mustard tweeted something about it a couple days prior to the song even dropping. So he already was producing the beat and making it.
Probably had the beat, but listen, but you know the lyrics. The lyrics is only but something that comes out after Family Matters, bro. Like, he called out Family Matters in the song. So it's like he probably laid something down, maybe even the hook, right? But everything with the verses that had to come after. He probably just spent like 6-7 hours in the studio. That's probably all he did. He was like, I'm locked in. Like, I'm not losing this shit. Like, I'm not losing, bro. That's probably what he did. That was my guess, bro. Because
he had a game
come up. Yeah, Not Like Us is like directly addressing some shit that he said in Family Matters.
Yeah. Hey, it was a good battle, man. But like I said, I think Kendrick won by a landslide, to be honest, man. Like I said, and Drake wasn't bad. I think this Kendrick was just really prepared, man. He came in there like the damn Chiefs against the Ravens in the AFC Conference Championship game against Lamar. Like, he had a game plan for Lamar ass, and he did it.
Hey, man, Jay Tyler, shout out to the OVO crew.
By the way. What do you say?
OVO.
Hey, bro. Yeah, freak, nigga. Hey, bro. All right, that's it. Y'all take it easy, man. We back next week. All 32 on Thursday. Ben Sinnott film session, whatever how you say his name, respectfully. Coming out this week as well. Dre, AJ, y'all boys be safe. And until next time, everybody. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah. Until next time, we out here. Peace.